And what I want to talk about today for a few minutes is developing a system for living that guards your heart and protects you from toxic people, narcissists, users, abusers. There's a system, a biblical system that you can employ that will cover your life, even hedge you in. Stay tuned, and I'll be back.
Let's talk. Let's talk.
You don't know how to be an individual.
And we want to get back to our discussion on race relations in the United States. Plus, Pastor R.C.Blakes Jr. joining us.
And as leaders on a local level, when we begin to combat the rhetoric with truth.
Pastor, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a horrific conversation that we even have to be having. What are you hearing from?
Let's talk with R.C.Blakes Jr. Let's talk.
And so as I was sitting down today and pondering what would I talk to you about, the Spirit of God just really quickened and inspired within me something that is taken directly from the Bible. And I call it a system for living. That it's a system for living that can protect your life, even hedge your life in. The Bible talks of Job. When Satan was having a conversation with Job, Satan said to God, I would touch him, but you've hedged him in. You've put a boundary around him. How does one live his or her life in a way that we guard our hearts, we put boundaries around our inner beings so that the toxicity of the environment, the people, the individuals that might otherwise come in and poison our reality, poison our existence, how do we create a boundary that they can't get in? There's a wise biblical system, and it's found in Proverbs chapter 4. And if you're taking some notes, I'd love for you to do this. And really the biblical wisdom here is so profound and so poignant that you may not even be a believer as I am. You may not be a Christian as I am. You may not be saved like I am. But the wisdom, the Bible is more practical than people give it credit for. The wisdom is so poignant that you will, how you doing? That you will find a takeaway that can really transform your world. It's found in Proverbs chapter 4, verses 20 through 27. And he says here, watch this. My son, attend to my words. Incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it, there it is. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. And that term keep can be translated as guard your heart with everything that's within you. For out of your heart are the issues of your life. Everything that your life will produce starts in your heart. If your heart is polluted, it will pollute the product of your life. Then he says, put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. I only have a few minutes, so let's kind of look at this. The first thing he says is, my son, attend unto my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings, and let them not depart from thy eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart. Now, in verse 20, where he says, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings, what he's talking about there is the wisdom of previous generations, that all of us should be wise enough to tap into the wisdom of previous generations. Why reinvent the wheel? If those that have come before us have already gone down this road and they know exactly where the potholes are, why not get the wisdom? Why have to live your life through experience when you could very well avoid the negatives of life through instruction? This speaks to the fact that in a lot of cases where we find ourselves in these toxic relationships, tied up with these narcissists, if we were to be honest with ourselves, there were, in some cases, in a lot of cases, parents, church people, co-workers, neighbors that told us from the beginning that's not a good idea. They could look at this man and they could see evil all over this man, and they said to you, that's not a good idea. I've gone down this road. But when you think that you're in love or you desire something or you need something in your life, we have a tendency to turn our ear off to wisdom. The first thing he instructs him to do is to attend unto my words and incline thine ear unto my sayings. I think the first thing you can do to really position your life in a place where you're not as susceptible, not as vulnerable, not as open to the negativity of those that might pursue you for ungodly purposes, is to find people who would provide you with wisdom beyond your years. Now, some of you say, well, I don't have parents, I don't have uncles, I don't have friends. YouTube is full of people who are laying down wisdom for you on a daily basis. A lot of you spend a lot of time on YouTube, but it's not necessarily listening to people who are teaching you things that you need to know. A lot of this stuff is foolishness that you spend hours and hours and hours listening to. I find some of my greatest mentors on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Some of my greatest mentors are there, and I glean and I gain wisdom. The first thing you need to do is find the right person to listen to, because some of the mistakes you've made are due to the fact that you've had no voice of wisdom speaking into your life, and then you move out of one of these toxic relationships into another without ever having stopped to really hear somebody who's already gone down this road. Now, the thing you have to understand about attending to the words of a wise person is that their words quite often will grieve you, because their words are going to go against everything that your flesh desires. Their words are going to go against all of your personal inner desires for what you think you want in the moment. But these things are surface. These things are temporal. They're temporary. The wisdom that other people can give you who've already gone through it is the foundation of things that will be lasting and eternal. So he says, attend unto my words and incline thine ear unto my sayings, which are the sayings of wisdom. And what wisdom is, see, a lot of you have knowledge. You go to school, you have knowledge, but why is it that this knowledge doesn't work for you? You don't have the application of the knowledge. Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. So you can find yourself as a relationship counselor, a relationship therapist, and still find yourself personally falling into toxic relationships. You have all of the knowledge from the book, but you still need somebody that's actually experienced it and gone through it that can give you the proper application of the knowledge that you have. Then he says, let them not depart, these words of wisdom, let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thy heart, which speaks of what? Meditation. First we need wise counselors. We need voices speaking into our lives. Then we need to meditate upon the voices. We need to meditate. See, you need not just listen to my voice or watch my videos and then just, use it as for entertainment value. It's really not for entertainment. It's for edification. You need to take the words that I speak, and you need to, if you find value in them at all, you need to ponder these words. You need to keep these words before you, before your mind's eye. You need to keep them in the midst of your heart. You need to think about them all the time. Before you make decisions, revisit some of the stuff that we've talked about. Don't sit here with hours and hours and hours of my teaching and then go right out of here and then allow somebody to get in your head and get you carried away with infatuation, and then you forget about everything we've discussed, and now you find yourself back in the same situation unnecessarily because you got the proper knowledge but now you need the application of it, and now you need to keep that knowledge in the midst of your heart so that it what? It strains your decisions. All of your decisions should be strained through the wisdom that you are pondering, the wisdom that you're meditating on, and not allow your life to be governed again by your fleshly promptings or by your lust or your desires, because those things have only served to get you in trouble. And then he says, watch this, for they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Now he says, attend unto my words which speaks of wisdom. Keep that wisdom in your heart, for they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. See, wisdom is something that one has to personally pursue. He says, for they are life unto those that find them, and health to your life, in other words. It'll guide and steer your life in a healthy direction. But he says, it's life unto those that find them, because wisdom can be knocking at your front door. If you do not have a heart to pursue it, if you're not pursuing wisdom, if you're not looking for a more excellent way, if you're not searching for a better way to live, it will elude you. It will elude you, and you'll find yourself repeating the same foolish cycles. Cycles are the consequence of wisdom rejected. When you find yourself doing the same thing, because God loves you too much not to put wisdom in your path, but when you find yourself just repeating the same cycles, it is the consequence of wisdom rejected. And then here's the driving verse amongst the pocket of verses that we pulled out. He says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Now, when he talks about your heart, he's talking about, excuse me, your inner man, your internal being, the core of you, your spirit man. Psychologists would call it your subconscious mind. In the church, we call it the spirit of a man. Man is made up of three parts: the body, this part right here, the soul or the mind, the part that reasons, thinks, makes decisions. But then we have the spirit, the part of man where the essence of God lives and where man is guided into those things that are righteous. And he says, keep that part of you with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. In other words, guard your spirit. And the way you guard your spirit is to guard your mind, and to guard where you allow your flesh or your body to even be present, because you have to show up to a thing, for a thing to enter into your consciousness, for a thing to sink down into your subconsciousness. And once a thing gets into your subconsciousness or your spirit, it becomes automatic, even involuntary. Have you ever been driving and went for what seemed like miles and realized that you hadn't even paid attention for the last 3 or 4 miles? It's because driving has gotten so deep into your subconscious that you can do it without even being conscious. Well, when something gets into our subconscious, into our spirit, what happens is it drives us in that direction without our even realizing we've made a decision. This is how soul ties work. This is how you keep choosing, narcissistic relationships. This is how you keep falling into the same trap over and over and over again. It's because you did not guard your inner man. And so now certain things are planted in your inner man, and he says, for out of there, your inner man, are the issues of your life. And so now your life keeps going in a direction that your mind really doesn't want, and your body, your flesh, is not profiting from, but it's so dug in, it is so buried in your subconscious and your spirit that you're poisoned from the inside. And so he says you got to learn to keep that part of you with diligence. You have to work it like a full-time job. You have to make certain that you guard your spirit. Every conversation, you have to make certain that you are analyzing every conversation, the content of that conversation. the spirit of that person. Because if you're not careful, that thing will sink into your spirit and you'll find yourself carried away once again. Then he says, let your eyes look right on and let thine eyelids look straight before you. Now what he's talking about there is determining your vision. And what is a vision? Your vision is your preferred future. It's having a glimpse of where you're going, who you are, what you're capable of. So he says, you gotta get some wisdom in your life. Then you gotta meditate on that wisdom, keep it before you. It'll be life and health to you. Then he says, keep your heart, guard your heart, make a full-time job of guarding what you allow to enter into your spirit. He says, put away from you, am I right? Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from you a froward mouth and perverse lips, put far from thee. I'm skipping one, where he talks about putting away from you a froward mouth and perverse lips, put far from you. He's talking about monitoring your conversation, the conversation you speak and the conversation you hear. Not only should you put away from you a mouth that speaks unrighteousness and vile things, but you should also close your ears to people who come with perverse conversation. Why is that? Because conversation is the conduit, it's the vehicle through which the wrong spirit travels into our hearts. And when we engage conversations, the Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue. When we speak certain things, we are opening our hearts and we're opening the spiritual atmosphere for those things to plant in our spirit. Conversation leads to thoughts. Thoughts lead to behavior. Behavior leads to habits. Come on now. And then finally he says, I gotta go, Lisa's waiting for me. Then he says, let thine eyes look right on and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Now he's talking about having a vision. You want to secure your life? You got to get some wisdom. But now you got to have a vision out of that wisdom that you keep in your mind, that you think about. And you got to have a vision. Your vision is your preferred future. It's having a glimpse of where you're going, who you are, what you can do, what's possible for you. And when you have a vision, it's like a racehorse. When you look at the racehorses, they put on the racehorse blinders. Why is that? As I have my hands cupped around my eyes, I can't see anything but what's in front of me. I can't see what's happening on the side, right or left. I can only see what's in front of me. So he's saying you got to be like the racehorse. You got to keep your eyes looking straight ahead. You cannot be distracted, because what God has in your future is in front of you. It's when you get distracted and you go to looking this way and that way that you get pulled off course. But if you live your life like a racehorse with your vision in front of you, every person that belongs in your life, in your future, is going to be in front of you. They won't be beside you. They won't be behind you. They'll be in front of you. So you got to learn to live your life like a visionary. If you're going to guard your heart, if you're going to protect your world, if you're going to protect your spirit, you got to live your life like a visionary. When he says ponder the path of your feet, he's talking about never make a move before you've thought about it. How many relationships have you fallen into where you made a move before you thought about it? And after you made the move, you thought, I shouldn't have made that move. Well, you should be able to think about making the move before you make the move, which will save your life. And then finally he says, turn not to the right hand nor to the left, and remove thy foot from evil. When you make a mistake and you find yourself in something that you ought not be in, he says you ought to remove your foot from it quickly. Because we're human. Sometimes we make mistakes. And when we make mistakes, we have to learn to get out of it quickly, sooner than later. Don't sit there and stay in the mistake and think you're going to make the mistake right. but rather discern, listen to the wisdom that's speaking from your spirit, and your spirit says, get out of this, you got to get out of that quickly. The longer you stay in that, the harder it's going to be to come out. And your carnal mind will fool you. And it's really pride. And it will say, oh, you can make this right. You know, you don't want to end on a bad note. You don't want to be a failure. You're a failure if you stay in something and you know that this is not the will of God for your life, and you put yourself in jeopardy. So there's some biblical wisdom that is spiritual in nature, but has very pragmatic and practical value. And if you ponder this, if you go back and you read these verses and just think about it, Proverbs 4:20 through 27, it is a wisdom, it is a set of wisdom keys for living a very healthy and successful life, especially in the area of relationships. It will keep you out of stuff that you should never entertain. I pray that you've been blessed by this. May I pray for you before I let you go today? Father God, I thank you for the wisdom that you've shared with us today. And now my prayer, dear Father, is that you would take every person that's under the sound of my voice and that you would touch them supernaturally. I mean, God, touch them. Some of them are hurting so bad. They're going through so much pain. There's such a tremendous weight upon them. God, I thank you that the sound of my voice will lift that weight up off of them and lift that heaviness up off of them. And God, I thank you for giving them victory in every area of life. I curse everything that did not come from you. And God, I set them free from it now in Jesus' name. Now, there are a few things I want to say to you. Number one, if this is your kind of channel, I'd love for you to subscribe. Please share this on all of your platforms. Please like, give me some thumbs up, give me your comments. All of this stuff helps me to even reach more people. And don't forget to stop by my website. You can go by pastorrcblakes.com, and there you find that we've updated our website. We have a brand new website that we're still working on. You'll also find my online program there, Transcending the Father Wound. All of you that have struggled with having or not having had a father in your life, this program, I believe, will really transform your life. It's 5 sessions. Each session has 3 components. The part where I'm teaching, the part where we bring in a professional counselor to give her spiel, and then the part where Lisa and I have a personal conversation about her experiences with the father wound. It'll bless your life. Also, you can go to my store. Those of you who bought my books and say, well, I don't see the workbook for Queenology or for Father-Daughter Talk on Amazon. It's because it's not there. It's on my personal store, rcblakesstore.com. You can get to my store by way of my website, rcblakes.com. And you can find the workbooks. You find, and we're updating that, you find apparel, all of that kind of stuff, man. God has just blessed me to have a message that resonates with people around the world, and I'm so excited about it. And I thank all of you for the support that you give me. It means the absolute world to me. So I love you with all of my heart. I hope that you've gotten something out of this, and I look forward to meeting a lot of you in the various places around the country and the world as I travel. But until then, remember, I'm R.C. Blakes, and really on behalf of my wife, Lisa, and I both, I say to you, you're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. God bless you. Until next time. Not had a father in my developmental process, I can still come to a place of victory in my personal development.
Ultimately, it is really not about who rejected you. It is truly about who accepts you.
I had to provide for myself, which is a father's job, right? Mm-hmm. I had to take care of my younger sibling, which was my father's job.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. You will discover that you will find within yourself the power to see yourself in the way that only you and God can see.